Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here. In today's video, I have something that just has to be discussed when it comes to my fellow YouTubers here on the gaming space. It's specifically people who do similar content to mine, where they do editorializing or punditry on the gaming news. Some of them do reviews, some of them don't, but people who do similar content to mine. But specifically today, I want to discuss several of the larger channels that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, who get hundreds of thousands of views on most of their videos, and are much more influential than me. I'm not going to call it anyone in particular, but I'm sure most of you who are watching this video will know exactly who I'm talking about as we go through the video. But what I have to discuss today, there is a disturbing trend that's happening, and it's becoming the exact same problem that many of us have been complaining about for many years with the mainstream gaming media. And that is when one person starts running with a story, whether or not the information is correct or whether it's completely and blatantly fake, everyone will start running with it. And that's been a problem with the mainstream gaming media for many years, and it's been widely acknowledged here on YouTube. All of us have discussed this throughout our time when we discuss the gaming media. That's what we talk about. That is, we all recognize it as an issue. But here on YouTube, it is becoming the exact same problem. One person will put up a video, and then everyone else will start regurgitating the exact same information and acting as if each other are this person said this, so he's a credible source, and this person said that, without doing any fact-checking or research of their own. And it's happened again this week. It's very similar to the situation I did with my last video, when I had to defend Randy Pitchford, of all people, who I never want to defend, but everyone was running with fake information. And then, a few weeks later, some more information came out, and it turns out that, yeah, maybe what was being reported at first was not the correct information. And now we have a similar situation, and this one's even worse. There's not even an opinion here. A bigger YouTuber this week put out a video with completely, blatantly false information, and in their own thumbnail said, blatantly fake, about the situation that they were going to discuss. And the situation was that Sony is reportedly putting out fake 5-star reviews on the PlayStation Store for The Last of Us 2 in an attempt to do spin control for the bad reputation that the game has been getting online after certain things have been made known to the public. I'm sure all of you know exactly what I'm talking about. But what's happened now is one person put up this video, and now all of the other channels are running with this story. Let me help all of you, because it seems like every single person covering this story didn't want to do any research whatsoever. This is all stuff I found out in less than 15 minutes by doing my own research and not using another YouTuber as my source material. The story that Sony is falsely putting 5-star reviews onto the PlayStation Store is not true in any way, shape, or form, and I will discuss. And again, as I go through this, just understand, all of this is easily verifiable information that any one of these people who made this video could have done this research themselves in a fraction of the time that it took them to actually edit a video, do the voiceover, publish it, render the video, upload it to YouTube, whatever you have to do to get through the process. It takes a little while. Even to make a 10-minute video, it takes a few hours a lot of time to do that, unless you're just really slapping them together fast. But in a fraction of the time, any of these channels could have done this research and found out the truth for themselves. But none of them chose to do that. The way the system works on the PlayStation Store, on PS4, the way it has always worked, there is a 5-star rating system that people can see when they click on a title when they go into the storefront. If they want to purchase it, when you go to the purchase screen, it will show you a 5-star rating. The only people who can use that rating system are people who have already purchased the game. So the conspiracy theory that's going on right now is that Sony is falsely pumping in these numbers, and how could anyone have reviewed the game because the game hasn't come out yet? That's not how it works. All you have to do is have the game purchased. If you just have a game sitting there and it's available for pre-order, you can't rate it. Once you pre-order it, or even if you buy it after launch, obviously, but even if you only pre-order it, instantly you can rate the game. And the notion that Sony is only doing this for The Last of Us 2 and this is some sort of grand conspiracy is ridiculous. Because let's look at some other games that aren't Sony games that are coming out later this year that are right now available for pre-order on the PlayStation Store. Let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077. A lot of people interested in that, right? Well, you can go to the pre-order page, and guess what? There's also a 5-star rating for that game with thousands of votes. Well, how did those people vote? I mean, the game hasn't come out. And of course, it's a literal impossibility for anyone to get a 5-star rating when there's thousands of people voting, right? We're going to get into that in a minute too, because that shows a fundamental lack of understanding of how numbers and statistics work. But let's stick with this for just 1 minute. So, Cyberpunk 2077, a game which also isn't out yet, has over 1,000 5-star ratings. How could this have happened? What's another game coming out? The Avengers. That's coming out later in this year. You can pre-order it now. Guess what? Also has a 5-star rating. Isn't that so strange? Is Sony manipulating that because of some grand conspiracy? What's another game? Oh, here's a good one. Wasteland 3. Now, there's not a ton of ratings for this game, but guess what? It has a 5-star rating, and Wasteland 3, coincidentally, is actually a Microsoft product. That's right. That's coming from a studio that Microsoft bought in their big round of purchases over the last couple of years. It's still coming out on PlayStation, but that is a game that not only does it not have any connection to Sony directly, it actually is related to their direct competition, Microsoft. And that has a 5-star rating. Do you think Sony is also manipulating review scores for Wasteland 3 for their competition? Once again, this is stuff you can check yourself. Anyone who owns a PlayStation 4 can check this information. This is not difficult to research. The fact of the matter is, once you buy the game, you can rate it. Now, what sort of people would have games rated who have purchased the game before it came out? What sort of people would do that? Could it possibly be the most hardcore fans of that franchise? Could it possibly be people that are hardcore fans of that developer who are pre-ordering games months before they come out? And in this case, games like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us 2, which have been delayed 2 or 3 times a piece. People had enough faith in those developers to go out and pre-order the game. These are your most hardcore fans. What sort of rating do you think they're going to give a game that they're so excited that they can't wait until the game actually launches, until there's actually reviews? What do you think they're going to rate a game when they have the ability to rate it? Do you think they're going to give it a 1 star, 2 stars? Or do you think that most of the people who are purchasing these games are the most dedicated and most loyal, and let's just say it, probably the biggest fanboys of that franchise? This isn't rocket science. This is common sense. A little bit of common sense here, some critical thinking can help you with that. It's not a difficult concept to think that once people can give a 5-star rating to a game for a franchise that they must love if they're going out and pre-ordering it months in advance, this just stands to reason that they're going to give it a 5-star rating. Now let's get into the quick statistical analysis of why so many people, how can 1,000 people plus give everything a 5-star rating? That's just not statistically possible. Okay. And I swear I must have seen this comment at least 100 times in different videos over the past week of people saying that it's statistically impossible for that many people to vote and for anything to have a perfect score. Okay, you have to understand a couple of things. 1, how basic statistics are used, and 2, how the PSN system works. The PlayStation Store system does not give out partial stars except for a half star. You can get a full star or you can get a half star. It doesn't give out fractions of a star. So, if something falls and there's a vote and something has between 4 and 5 stars, and it's going to be leaning more, say it's a 4.8, it's going to round up to a 5-star rating. So it doesn't have to have every single person giving it a 5-star rating. But if enough people in the group give it a 5-star rating, the average score will drag it up to the point where a roundup will happen, making it a 5-star rating. This is not rocket science. In fact, this is stuff that I understood just following sports when I was like 10 years old. I understood this. This is just basic statistical evaluation. There's nothing to this. This is fundamental stuff. Yeah, everyone's, it's statistically impossible. No, it's actually not when you're using a system that will round up. and doesn't use fractions of a star. This is pretty simple stuff. But again, this is being presented as some huge conspiracy. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. None of this makes any sense. And no one's taking into effect that people who will pre-order the game, they're going to have that purchasing bias. They bought the game, therefore they're going to want it to be better anyway. And this doesn't change the fact that pretty much any game on a storefront like this that allows a star rating system in this manner, if a game's available for pre-order, it's going to have a 5-star rating. Because, like I said earlier, only the most dedicated people are doing it. Anthem had a 5-star rating before it launched. Even though there were people saying it was going to be bad, because the only people who had pre-ordered were people that were already sold on the game. They were already hyped for it. Of course they're going to give it a 5-star rating. Now, is Sony manipulating the scores? Well, after the fact, you can see some of their games drop. Such as, well, the Final Fantasy Remake, that's still a 5-star. That came out. That was not a Sony published game, but it's exclusive to the platform from now, so that was a big game for them. That game does have a 5-star. But Death Stranding, which came out last year, doesn't have a 5-star rating. So it's not like they're retroactively going in and fiddling with review scores, because not all of their exclusive titles have a 5-star rating. That's not the case. So that's another thing where people are discussing it like this is some broad conspiracy that Sony must do all the time, and behind the scenes it's been going on. No, it's so simple. Now, like I said at the start of the video, is this a good system? Not necessarily so. Because obviously, Sony and any other platform holder, any storefront that does stuff like this, they're going to want a potential customer to think that a game is better than it might actually be. So they're going to encourage that. But they also, in this case, have plausible deniability where they're saying, hey, we're not letting just anyone rate it. It's only people that have bought the game. So it's not people, you can't have review bombing trolls who are not going to drop $60 on a game coming in and review bombing the game. That's the other thing. In a system like this, you're not going to have any review bombing. Well, you might, but it's going to be extremely rare. It's going to be someone who might regret their purchase. They might go in and retroactively change it, but I imagine most of the time, people are just going to rate it, who are fans, and they're going to move on. That's just, it's the simplest explanation, because that's what happens. Something else to add here is everyone's calling these fake review manipulation. A 5-star rating system isn't really a review. It tells you nothing. It's just a rating. It's not a review. There's no information aside from a number. It's one of the problems I have with people who put scored reviews up, is because that's the only thing people pay attention to. So you're getting all worked up like these are real reviews. Obviously they're not. And the other thing is, if you're someone who's using a platform's star rating system to make your purchasing decisions, you shouldn't be doing that anyway. That should be one of the last things that would ever inform your purchase, is what a store rating system shows. Unless it's given like a 1-star, then you can be like, okay, what's wrong with this game? If that many people hated it, then there might be a problem. But just because something has a 5-star rating, you're really going to trust that? You're going to put any faith into a 5-star rating? After all, if Dennis Reynolds can get a half-star rating when he's clearly a 5-star man, how much faith can you put in any star rating system? And again, this situation goes far beyond this particular situation with the review scores. This goes more to the broader subject of YouTubers just regurgitating fake stories. This happened with the Randy Pitchford situation. You saw this happen with the Mick Gordon situation, where people are like, oh, because once again, Bethesda, easy target. So someone says a thing, everyone runs with the story, and then they're all backtracking a week later when more information comes out. I'm getting sick of it, and it gives people like me a bad name, even though I'm a real small channel. It's not like people are like, hey, do you hear what Coach Toolshed said? I understand that. But when people degrade YouTubers in general and, do the eye roll thing when, oh, a YouTuber said it, this is why. Because a lot of you are getting as bad, if not worse, than the gaming mainstream media, which we've all been decrying for years. So just do your own research. Don't use each other for sources. That's been the problem with Twitter and the media for years. People do a thing, they write a story, they make a little bit of content, they tweet it out, and then everyone who follows them just regurgitates and retweets the story, and then it becomes fact, when it's not fact. And in this situation here, it's not fact at all. do some research. And when it's pointed out to you that you're wrong and you even acknowledge it down in the comments, maybe do a retraction video. I don't know. Crazy, right? It's called credibility. And you're making us all lose it. Anyway, that's it from me, Coach Toolshed. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. This video is not a defense of Sony per se. This is an argument against people not doing their own research. Again, is this a good rating system? No, not really. Is it better than Metacritic's user rating system? Yeah, actually, probably it is. But is it perfect? Absolutely not. But this is a commentary on YouTubers right now. Get real bad, guys. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Please subscribe if you want to stay in tune with the channel headed forward. And as always, keep it turned to 11.